Hey, happy Friday, everyone. Today we have a special guest, Wil Reynolds. Our topic for today will be big data SEO, search marketing tools, and agency SEO. Again, today we have Wil Reynolds from SEO Interactive. We will be talking about big data SEO, search marketing tools, and agency SEO. What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. What's up, Shar? Hello. One more time, we have Wil Reynolds from SEO Interactive. We'll be talking about big data SEO, search marketing tools, and agency SEO. Don't be shy, guys. Say hi. Will, I see you.
What up?
What's up, my man?
Do the damn thing.
All right. So what I do is I kind of just have a little pre-show countdown here, and I go over a few clips that were released within the past week, and I introduce you about 5 to 8 minutes after 12. All right.
I like your music.
Thank you.
Got a little funk to it, like a little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's got that. I like that little part. That's nice.
Yep. With Mike's, what's up, my man? Char Lennon, what's up, girl? Hobby from Poland, what's up, my man? He says, at Wil Reynolds, I've seen your show on Moz. It was awesome. Hobby, Will is awesome. We're going to be talking about awesome things today. Ben Davidson, what's up? Hey, Ben, where are you from? Put it in the live chat. Susan, thank you. It was the first conference that I hosted this past week, and we had a great turnout. We had about, I think, 4,000 finally show up. So we had we actually had 40,000 registered, and then 4,000 actually kind of showed up. Thank you, Susan. Santana, what's up, my man? James, Hello, hello. Stefan, my man, here, every week. Thank you for the support, brother. Ammon, thank you for showing up at the conference. I saw you there. Happy Friday, brother. All right, we got a bunch of you out there. Don't be shy. Say hi. Happy Friday, everyone. We got some good vibes going on here. Zen Lennon from Las Vegas. What's up? Today we have Wil Reynolds from Sierra Interactive. We'll be talking about big data SEO, search marketing tools, and agency SEO. We got SoCal in the house. All right, guys, we got less than 4 minutes to go. All right, I want to do an SEO giveaway. Who remembers where my last week's guest was from? Where's she based out of? I'll gift you any SEO Kindle book you want. Where was my last week's guest from? Put it in the live chat. The first one put in the live chat will win a Kindle SEO book. Oh man, we got Wil Reynolds in the chat. Oh, Hobby. Dude, you the man. Yes, she was from Egypt. Shoot me an email. Let me know what book you want. I'll send it off to you. Oh yeah, Hobby, you know. We funk SEO here. Bradley, what's up, my man? My mastermind bro. I see a bunch of you out there. Don't be shy. Say hi. Get your questions ready. I've been following Wil for years. He is so knowledgeable on SEO. Does anyone know what was Wil's first SEO job? I think I know it. If someone knows in the live chat, I'll gift you another book. What was Wil's first SEO job? What company was it for? Let's find out. I will gift you an SEO book. Oh yeah, SEO party up in here. Kayak Life, what's up? Oh, you're another person from SoCal. Oh, Hobby says Wil's first SEO job was a black hat. Was he doing black hat back in the days? I think everyone that's been as long in SEO as Wil. Things back then was considered black hat. That's considered black hat now. We didn't know it was called black hat. There was no such thing as black hat back then. Yep. All right, guys, we got less than 1 minute to go. Are you guys ready? Oh, Fonto Master, you took it back. Oh. Portal Stargist. All right, guys, we got 10 seconds to go. Are you guys ready?
Started, no delay, let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre DeVera, steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO Video Show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre DeVera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest this week is the founder of SEO Interactive, Wil Reynolds. Before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Zen, Ammon, Stefan, Will, Hobby, Kayak, Yursa, Bradley, so much more. Thank you for coming by. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
This is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. No! Where is the best place to hide a dead body? Page 2 of Google.
First with Google News. Google has confirmed the link spam algorithm update is now complete. Last week, we talked a little about how Google was changing meta titles. Google confirmed this update in a blog post on Google Search Central on generating web page titles. If you're experiencing this problem, I would first make sure that you have your title tag and H1 match. That will likely give you the best chance to get Google to use your title that you want in the SERP. Title changes were the hot topic and on everyone's channel this week. Let's listen in onto what Mordy said and why this sucks.
I think the click-through rate thing is really important. But there are definitely titles that I write, H1s that I write, where I just use them for the title tag. But there are definitely titles that I write where I know that I can go a little bit of a different style with them because I know that the title tag is going to be more centered on search language versus actual language that you would expect to see at the top of a post or the top of a page. In other words, what users are expecting on the SERP is different than what they're expecting to see as a header of an article at times. In other words, the way people search is it's almost like its own unique kind of vernacular, its own kind of language. There are actually studies about this that go through the unique ways of language, using a language when you search for things. If the SERP is a certain type of environment and the content on it exists in a certain type of ecosystem that's unique linguistically, I don't understand how across the board it makes sense to show the H1. Right. It just doesn't make, the whole purpose is different. The purpose when I have a title on or a header on a page is purely to inform the reader. I mean, it should be. When I write the title tag, I understand that forget ranking. I understand that I'm trying to entice a click. It's a totally different purpose of writing. And I don't understand how the hell it makes sense across the board to do this. Clearly it doesn't by looking at the results. And I'm not even sure I understand how badly Google just fumbled this. I mean, they're just showing absolute garbage. It doesn't make, that's what I can't wrap my head around. Why was this rollout so bad? And what are they even trying to do here? What was the problem they're trying to fix?
Right. Google changing titles is not all that bad. Let's listen into what the guys at Bill and Ammon's Bogus Hangout were talking about.
If you think about it, though, if you're searching a query like where to buy birthday supplies or supplies for a party supplies, and the homepage title is something like home or event gift shop, and it changes your title to party supplies because it's somewhere in the content, that's a big up for you from Google. That's a big help.
Yeah, that's what I think. Instead of crying that they changed my title, why don't you go to Search Console and check the queries and see if it went up when they changed the title? I mean, that would be the smart thing to do. That's what I would do. Instead of crying that they rewrote my title,
I only cried for 15 minutes.
Crying about the title being changed and actually finding out, did it help or did it hurt?
It's good if you rank highly, but if nobody clicks on what you rank highly for, you're default. Not
Well,
Google.
it's a useless ranking.
Yeah.
You might as well not rank if nobody clicks it.
So what's your take on Google changing meta titles? I know we can ask my guest today who has probably some comments on that. Please put in the live chats or in the comments below on what you think, if it's good or bad, whatever it is. All right. Want to level up your SEO career? Our past guest, Ross Simmonds, shows how he leveled up his career. Let's check it out.
So there's a lot of different ways that content has helped me in my career that aren't as obvious, that a lot of people don't see. And I would say the number one has to be the ability to unlock and build relationships with people all over the world. I live in a small place called Nova Scotia. It's on the east coast of Canada. We're everywhere is probably about 15 minutes from the water, the ocean. It's a very small place, but amazing, a beautiful place to live. And I've been able to build a network all across the globe. I've been flown all over the world by creating content. People see my content in New York, in Israel, in Sweden, in Stockholm, in Germany, in Thailand, you name it. People all over the globe see my content every single day. And because of that, because I am able to create content, people can watch it on their devices. They can watch it on their computer, they can watch it on their phone. And as a result, I'm building relationships with these people. So that has been, without question, in my opinion, one of the best opportunities. The ability to connect with people at scale across the globe and build relationships that I wouldn't have been able to 30 years ago.
There are hundreds and thousands of reasons why you should level up your SEO game. Kevin Indig shares SEO salaries in the Bay Area. Let's check it out.
I do want to call out that the Bay Area is a very confined space, and so San Francisco, New York City, maybe a couple of other large cities certainly stand out in terms of salary. Also stand out compared to, say, European countries or Asian or South American countries. So the Bay Area should not be the standard for salary, but I have lived in the Bay Area for over 6 years, and so I do want to give you an exact question. Keep in mind that this is my experience on salary ranges and that, I might be off there. What I see for people under 5 years in SEO in the Bay, they can ask for a salary between $80,000 and $150,000. When it comes to people between 5 and 10 years, I think $150,000 to $300,000. And then with more than 10 years, you can ask, I think, for more than $300,000. Now, again, that's going to depend on the company that you apply for. It depends on certain circumstances, maybe your negotiation skills. The problem with experience is that some people work for 5 years in the industry, but they never really went deep on things, never built really solid experience. Other people work for 3 years in the industry and they might have really solid, great experience. They have a lot of results to show for. The sheer number of years should not be the deciding factor of how much you earn. There is a connection directionally. It shouldn't be the make or break at the end of the day.
Be sure to check out Kevin Indig's video. He talks a lot of good stuff on his episode on the SEO Video Show. You know what can make even more than $300K as an SEO? Becoming an SEO consultant or starting a side hustle agency. But it will depend on how long you keep your clients. Let's listen in to Aaron Sparks on the CaliCube show to get how he got our clients to commit for long term.
What can you say to the client? This is what we're going to measure, and this is how we're going to keep you on board.
So another point of repurposing of content is also internal content to existing customers. So taking the same type of, so we also do a newsletter each and every week from our own show. So we're creating that and pushing it in front of our newsletter user base as well as our clients. So every one of our end of month reports or beginning of month reports that we're sharing with our digital marketing clients, guess what? We're also tucking inside of each and every report email one of the show pieces of material that we've done. So I then again continually improving the authority to our own clients. But part of a KPI is actually utilizing that production to be able to enhance attrition rates of your customers, be able to have additional dialogues, and sometimes the easiest way to see how well that investment is paying off is getting this information in front of an existing client and they say, oh, wow, I had no idea that you do this service or this service or this service. And all of a sudden, now they're paying 3 times as much because they had no idea that you were this diversified in your different services. So those are the first touch points of that bell ringing for a customer or one of your clients is, wow, I can actually leverage my existing clientele just by communicating to them who we are, what we're doing, and how we do it, right?
Speaking of agencies that share great content, is an agency I currently work with I have been following the founder for years. This brings me to my favorite part of the show. Please ask questions in the live chat, and I will address them in the order as they were received. But while I get things ready here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and get things ready. Wil has worked across verticals, including pharmaceuticals and hospital systems and e-commerce and SaaS. He has over 20 years of experience doing and talking about search. He loves to speak at conferences about the future of search and the big data to break down silos between SEO, PPC, and traditional marketing. He started Seer Interactive in 2002 as a one-person operation out of his living room. Today, Seer is an award-winning SEO agency and is home to over 180 employees. Please welcome the founder and the VP of Innovation, Wil Reynolds. Hey, Wil, what's up, my man? How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome now. Man, that was great.
Oh man. Thank you, Wil, for coming on and being my special guest. I mean, I've been following for years. It's been decades. Again, I mean, it's like over a decade here. I've been following you on all your Moz talks. Great stuff, always great stuff. And I especially love your most recent talk here, which I want to talk about later on. But I'm curious because in your talk at this past Moz, you talked about meta title, about how someone at Chase wrote the best meta title. If Google's changing this, what are your thoughts on Google changing meta titles?
My answer is going to be I'm going to pull the data. So right now, we got a couple million page titles from this week to last week. So I'm still pulling the data to be able to look at how much has each one of those titles changed. So then I can look at it by industry, and then I'll come out with my opinions. But for now, I'm still going to get the data because, if you work on 5 or 6 or 10 sites, that's just not enough data to really say what's happening. So I'm just going to wait until I get the data. You know me by this point.
Oh yeah, first knowledge bomb drop right there. Make sure you look at your data before you change anything over there on your meta titles. Okay, I asked this question, first question I asked all my SEO professionals that come on is, in 1 minute, how does Wil get ranking on page 1?
Oh, usually I'm going to do something, share something that other people are unwilling to share that would create a lot of value for a lot of people.
Love it. All right, you know what? I need to rewind this real quick. All right, well, you have to take us all the way back. Take us all the way back to when you first got into SEO. How did you get into SEO?
So I liked computers. I started building my own computers when I was 12. And I've always liked competitive sports. So what ended up happening is in August of '99, I started knocking on doors of companies that were doing things on the internet that I thought were really competitive. And I looked for companies that were doing stuff like that. And I was like, ooh, the search thing sounds interesting. And everything else is history from there.
Love it. So can you take us to the journey? Because I asked a question in the pre-show, where was your first SEO gig?
It was at a company called Net Marketing. They were in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I was employee number 1. First full-time employee when they stopped just hiring interns. I had to build my own cube on my first day. It was that kind of place, right? We started it up and went from there. But then, so I was in net marketing for 1.5 years, 2 years. They went under. I then went inside to a Fortune 500 company called Ammon. I was there for about 2.5 years, and then I started Seer.
Love it. Okay, we have here Charles saying, cool to see Wil in here. I saw him speak a few times at MozCon in Seattle. What's up, Charlie? All right, so I wanted to go and let's see here. I want to see how did you actually end up learning it then? Everyone has their way of learning SEO. How'd you? What was
Jim's forums. Back in the day, there was this forum called Jim's Forums, and like that's the only place where I could go to chat with people and learn. Like it was all forum driven, so you hung out in forums and tried to find people that were doing things and tried to learn from them, and then tried to replicate your own tests. I think the biggest thing that people don't understand about search today versus back then, there were like 30 freaking search engines. So back in the day, you were literally building templates and pages for 30 different search engines. So you had to manage a template for a keyword for Excite and Lycos and Hotbot and Alta Vista and Northern Light and InfoSeek. And like that was a pain in the butt, like trying to manage all those different templates for each one of your keywords. So remember, you had a keyword and then you had to have like 30 different templates for 30 different search engines. It was a bitch.
Whoa. I get. So I'm actually curious about that because I wasn't doing SEO back then. So like, did every single search engine have its own algorithm or certain things you do, or was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And they had their own spiders and they had their own spider frequency. So the cool part is it wasn't like, oh, I'm waiting for Google. You're like, man, with 30 different search engines, all having very small market share, you would like the coolest thing was like Yahoo Japan would update before Yahoo US. So you would do your updates, search Yahoo Japan, and find out whether or not it was going to show up a week later in Yahoo US. So it was just like crazy little things like that you had to do. The sad part is the job became very technical and not very about understanding what people wanted or how to solve a customer problem. You were trying to figure out little discrepancies in the Northern Light algorithm that you could put the words in here that was different than the Go algorithm that was different than this one. And I tend to like to be more on the side of how do I understand how to solve problems for people versus the how do I find these minor nuances to exploit across these 30 search engines or whatever it is.
Love it. Another knowledge bomb right there. Solving problems for people instead of like these search engines, which actually takes me to like, I'm curious on how you founded SEER. Like take us back, like how the name come up, like when, how was the thought of it come out? It was a one person agency at first. Like take us through that journey.
So I was working at Aon, the company I mentioned, and I just wasn't overly happy with the job. It was an insurance company, so everything was like risk aversion, right? And I understand that, and it made sense. But I wanted to be at the forefront of my industry and trying these new things in an industry that I loved. So I was just really frustrated. At the same time, my cousin got sick and ended up going into the hospital. And I went to school to be a teacher, so I never thought I'd ever do anything like this in business. And I started going to the children's hospital to see my cousin, and I decided I was going to start volunteering, just like playing with sick kids on Wednesdays from 6 to 9, just to find some way to give back, and also to stay connected with kids. I love staying connected with youth. And I went to my boss and I said to her, hey, can I work through my lunch on Wednesdays so I can go to this volunteer assignment? And she was like, I don't think we can do that right now. And because I had been looking for a job for over 2 years at that point, I just decided to quit, called my mom that day and told her I was going to start my own thing. So I didn't want to start this business. I literally knocked on doors of probably 10 different companies, some of them 3 or 4 times, trying to get a job in those companies. And I never could over the course of 2 years. So SEER got built because no one would hire me, and I couldn't volunteer at the places that I wanted to and work through my lunch. That's how the company got built.
Nice. Wow. Okay. So with SEER, like how did this actual name come about? Like how'd you pick the brand? SEER?
There's a company called AgileCat, and they were a client of mine because I could walk to their office from where I started SEER. And I was knocking on doors on the main street of this part of town. Mm-hmm. And one of the companies that was there was this PR company called AgileCat, run by a great guy named Peter Madden. And he hired us. We started ranking him for all these PR agency Philadelphia words. So he was like, wow, you guys are great. But he's like, I hate your freaking name. So then he was like, let me work through some stuff with you and talk to you a bit and try to help you figure out a name that fits the business better. And he's the one that came up with SEER. And SEER, when he explained it to me, he was like, what I like about it is it has 2 meanings. SEER is a mystic. And he's like, and this is early 2000s. So he's like, what you do, people constantly are like, how does Google rank things? Like, it was something that people just kind of wondered. And it was very like mystical to people. And like, how does that work? The other definition of SEER is visionary, which I would never call myself. But he's like, the fact that you got into the search game instead of the web design game that early was very visionary of you. And I'm like, I don't consider it visionary. I just really like the work. Like web design for me isn't competitive, right? Rankings are. Like if you're outranking me and we both are going after that same word and you're number 1 and I'm number 3, then you're beating me. And I don't like that. And I don't take that easy. So I got to go and step my game up. Like, so I loved that side of it. That's more it than being visionary, but the name works and I like it. And it's stuck ever since.
Love it. Let me make sure that knowledge bomb right there. You are a visionary. Will, I mean, I love it. Love your talks. Okay, we actually have a question in here by Charles. If there's time, I would like to know your take on the current job market for SEOs. Is there a good demand for experienced SEOs from your experience?
Hell yeah. I mean, I haven't been able to take on an SEO project in probably, I mean, like maybe it's been like 5 or 6 months. Like in terms of like taking on like real SEO work, it's like our existing clients are throwing enough work at us that we can't hire fast enough. So therefore we haven't really been able to take on work for a while now. So yeah, I think there's a lot of demand out there for SEOs for sure. I'm still pretty bullish on it. I mean, think about it. At the end of the day, we help companies to get found by people that are typing in exactly what it is they're looking for. Exactly. Like, that's a good job to be in.
Yes, and Charles, every week, I look on LinkedIn to see how many jobs are available within the U.S. And there's over 20,000 job postings that have SEO in the job description. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity out there to become an SEO. And you saw earlier, getting paid as an SEO is pretty lucrative. So make sure you check that out. Okay, well, if you guys have any questions, be sure to ask them in the live chat. But I want to actually bring this up here where something that you had actually mentioned once, it's a quote that you mentioned here. Brands are the solution, not the problem. I found this quote when I was doing some research on you, and I was like curious, like what does this quote, can you tell us the story behind this quote that you mentioned? Brands are the solution, not the problem.
So I think sometimes SEOs will be like, especially when Google started weighting brands more heavily in the search results. Like I remember outranking Disney for Disney words. Like I remember when where people were outranking Disney with porn sites related to porn and like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs doing stuff. So you kind of like are like, oh my God, like you can't have that happen, right? Because then that just discredits the search engine. This was like early days where you could just beat people with like really low quality tactics easily for their own brand. And as fun as that was, from an SEO tinkering standpoint, that's a really messed up user experience. Yeah. So for a while, I think a lot of SEOs were like, oh, Google overweights brands. And I'm like, no, because brands oftentimes build trust, and Google's trying to show us sites that we can trust. So for me, it's like building a brand is more a part of the solution to SEO than it is the problem around SEO.
Dropping all these knowledge bombs. I love it. Okay. I want to go into something where there's a story actually. When I was doing some research, also like Rand was actually on the conference I was co-hosting at, and he actually mentioned a tool called Saving Benjamin. And he was like, so I have to go check it out. And I don't think is it still available? Saving Benjamin. Can you tell us about what the Saving Benjamin is about, and the value of using Saving Benjamin? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of money spent on paid search terms that people don't know they're showing up for. Here's a great example. The word PPC audit. We all think we know what it means. So if you targeted that word, you'd be like, I know what that means. It actually is there's a version of PPC audit, which is in the financial space. So there are finance companies at times bidding on the word PPC audit, have no idea that it has a totally different meaning. So what Saving Ben does is it basically helps us to use the organic results. We index those results and kind of say, what kind of sites are those that are ranking? We look at all the search terms people are using and start to try to parse those apart and understand when people add this piece to this word, what's your CPA like? What's your conversions like? What's this or that? And you start finding people are adding words to words that completely change the meaning of that word, right? So for the best example I've had to date is one of the times we found that a client was bidding on the word bank account, right? You're a bank. You're bidding on the word bank account. It makes sense. 21 Savage drops the song Bank Account, And yeah, you might negate the word MP3 or video, but when people type in 21 Savage bank account, this bank spent $64,000 on words related to 21 Savage and nobody caught it. And our tool caught it in 10 minutes. It's like you log in with your AdWords account, click go, and then it comes back and starts to show you things that you're spending money on this word. When people add this word to bank account, it's funny how your CPA on those words is like 18x higher than your other CPA, right? The word whiskey glasses is a song. Also, people are trying to buy whiskey glasses. So there's so many instances that we find where people are adding words to core words. Mm-hmm. Companies are getting clicks on those words and have no freaking clue that they're spending that money because overall they're hitting their CPA goals. But just because I can afford to pay $100 per lead doesn't mean I want to pay $100 per lead. And the only person making money off of those clicks is Google. And Google's giving me part of my career, so I appreciate them. But come on, man. If people are typing in 21 Savage bank account, you probably shouldn't be showing Wells Fargo for that. You know better, because the organic results literally don't have any banks in them. They only have things related to rap music. Why would I have a bank showing up in the paid? So by indexing the organic results against what the paid results are saying, you can start to find mismatches and save people. I usually save people 10, 15, 20% of their paid spend by finding all these words they were bidding on they had no idea that they were.
Damn! Man.
Like that one.
Man. Yeah, I guess that's so powerful. And that's something that you always bring about on a lot of your topics when you speak at conferences, which I totally like it's so true. And this takes me to the part where you started talking a lot about big data SEO a few years ago, maybe back in 2017, 16. You started talking about big data SEO. For those that are just tuning in here, and how does big data relate to SEO, and how would you use big data for SEO?
Let me give you a real example.
All right.
So long tail. We all know it exists. Mm-hmm. Why are we still picking 100 words? Why are we picking 100 words? I'm going to target these 100 words. You can't. People are typing in way too many derivatives of words to only look at 100 words, right? So what I started to realize, the first thing that really got me to be oh shit, there is something that no one is seeing right now as it relates to long tail. I took a client and I ran their 55,000 search terms they showed up for in their paid account through a AdWords tool or something that would show you search volume. And half of their conversions came on keywords that these tools said had zero search volume, which meant every SEO on the planet was going to be ignoring the words that were actually driving conversions and leads for this client. So I scoop all those up. I find out what page on the internet ranks for the most of those words that have zero search volume, sum that up and go, great, I can rank for 8,000 of these words with 4 pages because nobody else is going after them, and they represent half of your conversions, client. That was the power of looking at every single search term that every person's ever searched for. Look at how much we've spent on that and paid and how much that word is converted. It just put us in a different position because we were just looking at so much more information.
Love that. I'm a big fan of no search volume, supposedly keywords. You can see this in your Google Search Console as well, guys. And your paid search data is even better because you can tie in conversions and something that's something that I also love doing too with our content marketing team. Our content marketing team loves showing the value of the keywords that they rank for. They have a blog post and they can see the average cost of maybe keywords that are driving traffic, and there's hey, we saved this much from PPC. That's how they love showing their value for writing their blogs. Okay, we got a question here from Stefan. Hi, Will. What data do you collect if you have to build a website with services from scratch?
A website with services from scratch. What data do you collect from scratch? Okay, so I'm assuming. That question's a little bit broad. I don't want to mess it up, but here's the data I typically try to collect for every client I work with. I first like them to do paid because, guys, I'm telling you, man, when you can attach a $, Every time I talk to a client about why I think they should produce a piece of content, here's how it always sounds. Hey, I found this page ranking on the internet from a competitor of yours. It ranks in the top 5 for 855 different keywords. Those 855 keywords last year, you spent $22,340 on and got 600 conversions on. Is there a reason why we wouldn't build a page that costs us $1,000 to build out to try to get some of that traffic? Done. Like every time. So if you do the paid, you now have the dollar signs next to that data that says, this is why I think you should target it. Whereas if you don't have paid data, then you're using monthly search volume. You're using bullshit click-through rate curves on some generic thing that you don't know about to come up with your potential opportunity. And I'm like, I'm going to de-risk this for you. Let's just bid on those words for a month or a week or two and come up with something that can help us to understand the propensity for people to convert. It just is, it costs money. I get that. But like nothing's worse than spending years optimizing for a keyword to finally get that ranking and find out it ain't doing squat for your business. I've done it several times in my career. I've done it for my own business, and it's painful because you spend a year trying to get a keyword ranked on Google, you finally get it, and then you rub your hands waiting for those leads to come in, and it never freaking pops. And you're like, you just wasted a year. So what's that worth? I'd rather spend a month worth of that budget on paid, get the data to know exactly where I should focus that can drive conversions for me.
All right. You got it. That's, oh, I love that. Okay, so you would always tell your clients, like, you know, trying to kind of do those paid, see where the actual conversions coming in. Oh my God, that's knowledge bomb right there, guys. Okay.
I got another one for you.
Oh, let's go. Let's bring it on.
Here's what I hate about click-through rate curves. We're currently trying to build a model, like an AI-based model, that can tell us when certain domains rank above or below you, how much it suppresses your click-through rate. Because click-through rate curves are bullshit. We all know that if Amazon ranks on Google for some keyword and you're a Prime member and they're number 2 or 3, but you're number 1, like a lot of people are skipping over that because they see Amazon, right? Like we know this. We know that this is human behavior. So what we're starting to do is take all this data we have, join the Google Search Console data with the rank and competitive data, and be like, when Amazon shows up above or below, what happens to our click-through rate? How far can Amazon be away from that ranking to try to predict, is it even worth going after that keyword if the sharks are swimming around it and they're going to eat up most of our click-through rate? So like those are the kinds of things that I also just love to play with in my role as the innovation VP. Is I'm trying to think, my whole job is to be like, where have we broadly accepted certain ways of doing things as an industry? And where can I play around and try to find a way to do an alternative? Because then what do I learn? As long as this company's ranking above you, don't go after it because they're suppressing the hell out of your click-through rate. So your model isn't going to actually play out because when they show up, your click-through rate is suppressed. That's one of my favorite projects I'm working on right now.
Wow, man, that was a deep knowledge bomb right there. I love it. I love it. We got so many comments going on here in the live chat. We have, let's see, we have a, let's see, the money is always in the data. Gotta mine it. Brian Schultz. All right, we got that here. Let's see, let's take another comment here. We have Ammon, amazing. All right, damn. Okay, all right, like, let's see here. Awesome SEO sales tip. I'm writing that down. Okay. All right. There's so many things going on here. I want to talk a little bit more about big data SEO because, I mean, I actually want to get into it a little bit. I mean, I don't know Python. Is there anything like tools?
You don't need to.
Oh, what? let's.
You don't need to.
Oh, okay. So tell us, like, how can someone get into like looking at this data and like merging this data? What are some of your like tips that you can give for someone that wants to do this?
You gotta just want it. You gotta want it because I'll tell you, like, we put a video out 4 years ago that shows exactly how to do this. If you can download any keyword resource anywhere. You can even use SEMrush for now, right? Get some keywords, where they rank, URLs, whatever, right? Download it from SEMrush if you have to. And then if you got paid data, we have a video on our YouTube channel that basically says, here's how you can take paid export, and here's how to go into ads, here's exactly how to get the right report, and then go into either your SEMrush data, or for me, like now, we've built tools that just take every search term basically every day. So it takes every client search term every day and just like stores it. And then we run an analysis every month on every search term for every client. So now we are just automatically bringing that data together. But we show people how to do it with a couple of CSVs. It's a 15-minute video. You watch it. It is step by step on exactly how to do those joins. And I've done up to 2 million search terms, joined 2 million search terms with competitive rank data in a singular Power BI file. And it's just free for anybody to watch.
Wow. Okay, that actually comes up to a question by With Mikes. He says, what are you using for big data operating platform? Is it Power BI?
So it's Power BI for now. And the reason why it's Power BI is because I'm cheap. Like Power BI desktop, I still use to this day, and you don't have to pay for it, right? Whereas with Tableau, if you get Tableau, you gotta, and you can use it for free for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then they're like, oh, you gotta turn all your data public in order to be able to keep using the free version. I'm like, I can't have my client data out there like that. So Power BI runs on your desktop, so you can run it in perpetuity. We are now moving many of our analyses off of Power BI and into Looker.
Looker?
Dude, Looker's badass. I'm just early learning a lot about the functionality, but Looker is going to enable us to do things like say, hey, if a client has spent more than X on a keyword and competitor Y is ranking over position, whatever, automatically send this alert out to the team, to the client, to whatever. So Looker is much more, it's a cloud-based web platform that's going to enable us to hook in all kinds of other interesting things to enable that data to be used within our clients' organizations, whether it's alerting or any other thing. So that I'm really looking forward to our transformation of moving from Power BI into a more robust web-based platform like Looker.
Love it. Is it Looker, Look-R, like L-O-O-K-R?
Oh, it's L-O-O-K-E-R, Looker.
Looker. All right. We have another one here from Dave. We have how are you using data in interesting ways to improve programmatic at Seer?
You know what I love? Y'all are asking some really good freaking questions, and now y'all can actually see that I'm not full of shit, and I can actually answer all of these because I'm like, oh, I got one for you, right? Like we're working on this stuff.
Yeah.
So programmatic. So one of the things I like to do is take my placement report out of Google for now. Obviously, you could do a placement report with any platform that's going to give you that transparency. And we're running all those URLs through Majestic to then get the trust flow, citation flow. And then we're looking at things like click-through rate, cost per conversion, et cetera, based on their trust flow and citation flow. So then you start bucketing them and saying, isn't it interesting that when you show up on a domain with a trust flow that's below 30, your CPA on those is 25x over the more quality sites. Let's cut these sites out at scale. That's one of the big things that we're doing. That's the other one I can't share yet because it's still like super, super alpha. So that's the one way I would say that we're using big data. Now we can use this and start to build this database. So when we go to do programmatic, we have a list of proactive sites we're going to negate because we already know those sites are low quality, right? So like, here's another example of programmatic.
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially during the pandemic, are sharing their laptops with their kids and TVs and tablets with their kids. So what was happening is when their kids are on YouTube, the ads are showing up for these clients because they're sharing logins and shit, right? So like now the parents uses this laptop or this tablet. So the parents retargeting is hitting the kid on the tablet and kids are clicking on links. So what we started to do is look for all of the kids channels that were showing up in our placement report from YouTube because we went and scraped all the YouTube titles and whatnot to be like, oh snap, that YouTube URL that's giving us all these clicks, look up the title, pull the title and be like, oh my God, it's a kids show. Why is our client getting clicks on that? Let's negate all those out so that we're not showing up for kids shows when people are sharing laptops and phones and stuff with their kids to watch. They put on that YouTube thing and the kid's like, oh, yay, SaaS platform, click, and you're paying money for it, right? It's all part of this concept of, for us, we feel like we owe it to our clients to find the inefficiency in their paid accounts. So this just fits our ethos to be like, because I think as an SEO, I begged for years I still beg to get a little bit of money for some content while people are literally just blowing money on showing up for Caillou and they don't even freaking know it. So I said, instead of me complaining about it, let me go find a way to extract those dollars out where I can show the client the waste and say, can I reinvest this over here in this content? Because you were already spending it anyway. It just never converted for you. So why would you keep spending that money?
Oh my God, I think this is the most knowledge bombs been dropped on this episode here on the show. All right, okay, we got another question here by Stefan. Can Will go a little deeper into how he uses PPC data to decide which words to compete for?
Sure. It's pretty simple though, right? Like PPC gives you your search terms. So therefore I can look at the exact search term that converts. Remember years ago when Google took away search terms in analytics so you couldn't see the word? Me and mostly every SEO sat around and we complained about it. But then when I went to go take my AdWords certification, like a year later, I was like, wait a second. PPC people have all that information, and it completely changed my outlook on how to target SEO keywords. It's funny. Many, many years, I had a paid team and an SEO team, but I was an SEO by training. So when Not Provided came in, I used SEO tools to try to find a way to get those answers back. When in actuality, if I had to just went, oh, hey, you've got all that data in paid, let me just take that and use those words so I can understand propensity to convert still, I didn't do it, right? And then once I did it, I was like, that's the paid data that I use. There's a lot of ways to use it though that can really help you. So like one of the things I also like to do with paid data is look for at the URL level, say like, okay, what URLs are you showing people in paid, right? And then do you rank for that same keyword in the top 10 with a different page? Very often, think about it. If you rank in the top 10 for a keyword, it means that you had to earn that ranking. You had to write that content or produce something that Google said you can rank for it. In paid, Google will take your money even if you're not the right answer. So what we do is we say, where is that one keyword, have a different paid URL than the organic URL. And if you're already ranking organically for it, you probably already have the right answer. So how can we take things from that page and incorporate it into your paid landing page so that it better fits the customer profile?
Love it, love it. And the questions keep pouring in here. All right, we have one here by Will. What tool platform is the most trustworthy for CTR on organic queries?
So the only place you can get click-through rate curves for organic queries is Google Search Console, as far as I've heard. So that's the only tool you can use. That's what I think, right? Like, am I wrong there?
No, I think that's right. I mean, the only thing we use there. I mean, I don't know any other tools that can, unless you have some server logs that can pull that. No, I don't know. Well, Hobby, we have one here. Hobby, Will, what is the natural range for backlinks gauge for anchor text ratio?
I got no freaking idea. I don't even study that stuff anymore. Trying to think, but if I were to look at backlinks, anchor text, because see, the way I don't answer, Hobby, I really like that question, but it's like, I don't answer questions like that anymore because I know I try to parse them into data problems. So what I would do is I would say, let me take these million keywords I'm running for this client that are in their paid data, go get the top 100 for all million of those keywords, look at the top 10 or so, and then look for the amount of backlinks. So then I would take all the URLs ranking in the top 10 for all these different competitors. Then I would run that in a Majestic, extract out the anchor text, and then say like, how many times does the anchor text match the keyword for different cohorts? Because there's no one answer for that. Certain types of words might need more, might need less. So the real goal is, how do I understand how to parse that problem into a series of data points, go into those data sets, extract that information, get it into a CSV for now, and then how do I join it all together so that I can answer that question down to the keyword cohort level and not give you guys I typically target 10 to 20%. It could be totally different for certain types of words and other types of words.
Love it, love it. All right, you got a follow-up question here as well. Would you accept nonprofit SEO campaign for topic that others SEOs do want to take, like against human traffic?
So if somebody's asking if I would ever take a nonprofit project on that related to human trafficking, That answer is highly likely, yes, because I'd have to look into it, right? Like I'm not just going to say like, oh, I would, but we have a major human trafficking problem in our city. I work and have worked with for 14 years with an organization that that helps to address that issue. They have employees who go and rescue people that have been human trafficked. So it is a topic that, and one that I feel that I got to put some effort behind for sure. And I have been for the last 13 or 14 years.
Love it, Javi. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, we had a question here from Ammon. Interested to know how many tools we'll use as an SEO.
Oh my God. Like just like a ton. Like I have subscriptions to almost everything, right? Like, so I'm a data guy. I'm not an SEO. I'm a data guy. So as a data guy, I want multiple data from multiple places. So I want Ahrefs data. I want SEMrush data. I mean, for me, I'm the kind of guy like pipe it in. Like I ain't going into your interface anymore. It's too much time, right? Like I don't want to, let me put in this URL, export, this URL, export. I did that 4 years ago. But now I've gotten to the point where we've shown enough traction with this big data thing that it's like, I should just be piped into these things so I can get large exports. So for me, like we're piped into AdWords directly. We have built our own rank tracker. So all that data comes in direct. We are piped into Google Analytics direct. So if I were to be like, oh, I want to see how this search term in paid is affecting SEO and how it results in bounce rates, we have all that sitting in BigQuery. So I'm just sitting there looking at how to join that data together and find hypotheses and answers to that. So yeah, I have just tons and tons and tons of tools. The other day I asked a client if they would trust us with their Salesforce data. And they're like, yeah, they've been a client of ours for 12 years. And they said, all we got to do is just take out the user IDs and replace them with, or just leave the user ID, but take out the PII. We're like, fine. We have a tool, a platform, not that we built, we use Fivetran. Fivetran has this tool called Connect Cards where we sent them a link. They logged in with their Salesforce username and password, and now every 6 hours it dumps all of their Salesforce data into our data warehouse. So now we can start to look at our campaigns and how it's affecting actual customers and how often those customers repeat and all of that. So we get to really level up our level of ability to report back on impact. So when you think of all the tools that I use as an SEO, in that instance for that client, I'm literally using Salesforce. That is not a typical SEO tool, but it's going to help me to articulate my value to the client when they start asking me really tough questions.
Love it, love it. Okay, I'm going to take one more question from the chat because I got to wrap up things here. So I want to let's see one with Mike's. What's the most effective way you found to pipe in data from places like Ahrefs, SEMrush, who don't let the most useful data be pulled via API?
So, let's just put it this way. I got a team of people who don't quit. Like we wake up to do the hard shit. And because of that, it's a fun task when people don't make data available and we find a way to get it, because it also is a competitive advantage. So, you know, 2 words I got for you is headless browser, right? Like, there's a lot of ways to get like, oh, we can't know if this setting is available in AdWords. Google doesn't, or ads, they don't make it available as an option. So we don't know if that setting's been changed. I'm like, headless browser. Let's go find somebody who knows how to use Puppeteer or whatever the freak it is, and like write a script to basically go and pull that thing out and dump it into our BigQuery daily so we have it. So I would say there are ways around those limitations, but you got to want it bad enough and be able to afford to have somebody to do that, to then get you that data. So there are ways to get information out of those tools that make it not always available by the API.
All right. With Mike's, I hope that gives you some knowledge bombs over there. A little nice nugget. All right. I want to ask this before we let you go, but I mean, I have a couple questions. One thing is like in your recent presentation, I want to share this with everyone because there's 3 search marketing tools that everyone should be using. The 3 most important search marketing tools. And I would love for you to share those 3 search marketing tools that you recently shared at Moz, because it is right. It's not really about it's what is those 3 3 important tools?
It's your brain, your heart, and your small ego.
Can you explain a little bit more on a little bit on that?
So having a small ego is very important. I honestly, like, as SEOs, we are in an industry of, back in the day, you know, a couple people, whether it was, you know, Gray Wolf or Stunt Double or whoever it was, you know, they would be at PubCon and we'd all be sitting around them like, yo, tell me more, right? And I think we all like get to a point in our careers where we started off as newbies and now we've gotten 5-10 years under our belt. And like everybody sits in the room wondering what we think, right? Like, oh, Will, you've been doing this for 20 years. What do you think? And I had to realize that in spite of me working on thousands of websites in my career, that's still not a lot of the web. I had to admit to myself, like, that's not a lot of the web.
Yeah.
So therefore, I shouldn't be going out telling people what their percentage of backlink anchor text is, because you start realizing when you work in big data how many times you've been wrong. So you got to have that intellectual humility to recognize that, like, 22 years of experience. I started August. So this month, 1999, I got my first job in SEO. That is 22 years every freaking day of my life. And I'm like, I'm wrong about a lot of shit, man. And data keeps me from being that. So that's the low ego part, right? Mm-hmm. The next part is your heart. Like, I think as an SEO, you can go a heck of a lot further if you actually care about people finding answers to their freaking problems, right? Like, I can't train you to care about a person being satisfied. Here's something I'll tell you to do. So we recorded a customer of our client, and so sometimes we'll do these audience interviews where we ask people, Google this and click on results, and we're gonna ask you different questions so we can hear things that don't show up in Ahrefs and SEMrush and ads and all that shit. And we were working with a decking client, and we were walking through, one of their customers was going through their website, and the guy goes, oh my God, if I had known this existed, it was a tool that we had built. He goes, it could have saved me hours and trips to Home Depot. And I was like, oh shit. No keyword research is ever gonna remind you that, like, if you get people the right information, you can keep them from having to drive back to Home Depot 5 times because they kept doing the wrong thing. No one likes to do that when you're working on your house. Mm-hmm. But there's no keyword research that's ever going to tell you that. You got to want to listen to the customer, engage with your content to see, like, okay, here's what they think. They think it's good. They think it's bad. They think it could be better this way or that way. So that always sticks out to me as like a heart thing. And the last is your brain. And that's the last part of it, which is that's where all the big data joins, Power BI, Python, R, whatever it is, all that brain stuff can really be used for good, if you have a motivation to solve problems for people, and if your ego is small enough to admit that maybe some of that data is going to tell you that you've been really wrong in your career a lot. That's really hard to do.
Excellent.
All right,
awesome.
all right. Thank you, Will. All right, I need to ask my last question before I let you go. This is a question I ask all my professionals that come on board. What is that one tip that you can give to someone that's trying to get into the SEO game, trying to break into the SEO industry? How can someone get into SEO?
If you're trying to break in, watch our damn videos on YouTube about joining data, and I'm going to tell you why. SEOs with 20 years of experience and no idea how to value their work, you can blow them out in 2 years. Think about it. SEO is full of people that came up out of nowhere and became like super freaking strong. The best person I can think of is like Mike King. That dude went from like somebody nobody knew to being on the stage at MozCon in 3 years because he brought a different approach to what everybody else was talking about, right? So I think one of the things is you gotta stay hungry, because think about how quickly I'm able to talk about, oh, we're pulling this data and doing this with programmatic, and we're pulling this data and pulling that paid data, because I stay hungry. Like, I want to wake up and still be good at this game. I don't want to just sit around because I've been doing it for 22 years. Like, people who sit around and say, I've been doing this for 22 years, I'm good at it. Those are the same people that a new person coming in with a new perspective and more data instead of their experience. 22 years, honestly. Like, I've been working in an agency for most of that time. So I've worked on thousands of websites. A lot of people have maybe been in-house for 5 years here and in-house for 5 years here. They've worked on 2 websites in 10 years. And they'll say, oh, this is what I believe about X or Y. And it's like, well, maybe it's only in that one business you worked in one time. The ability for you to look at data across 100 different clients at a time at scale to find answers that other people are guessing on with their 10 years of experience, man, you spend a little bit of time, I think you can really blow things out and create a lot of value for your organization. Stay hungry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Stay hungry, guys. All right. That concludes my episode over here. I mean, actually, you know what? I want to make sure if there's any last words, any last advice that you want to share, like how can people get in contact with you? Please, the stage is yours.
Google me. No, I think the biggest thing, there's two things I'll leave you with. One is for the last 13 years, I've been sleeping outside in November to raise money and awareness for homeless youth. I've recently got off of Facebook, got off of Instagram, which means I won't have as much social visibility as I used to. And last year we raised I raised 43 grand. So if you see me tweeting come November about how to donate, I would really appreciate it. There's a lot of great kids out there. That's who I'm sleeping out for, who don't have homes and don't have a place to stay in the winter here in Philadelphia. And I'd love for you to help me be part of that solution. And the other thing I'll say, keep an eye out for our relaunch of Saving Ben. We've saved people millions of dollars, man. And it feels good to give people back money that they were just spending money on. We found for a client recently, they spent 17 or 18 grand on the word things. Yeah. And their agency was still collecting that 10%, right? That agency fee, and the client was just shoveling money into the fire pit. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to be relaunching it really soon and try to bring it to market in a way that we can help more people save money faster.
Love it. Love it. All right, guys, everyone give Wil a round of applause. Thank you, Wil. If you can just hold on for 1 minute while I sign off real quick. Just real quick. Let me see. All right. All right, guys, that concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you next week. Peace out.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, because the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!